Today, he is one of the most famous human beings on the planet. A billionaire, a global icon, a man with hundreds of millions of followers, and a trophy cabinet that defies belief. But there was a time when Cristiano Ronaldo was a poor boy on a small Atlantic island, sleeping in a tiny room with his 3 siblings, crying himself to sleep at night, hundreds of miles from home, almost sent back as a failure. The distance between that frightened child and the legend he became is one of the most extraordinary journeys in the history of sport. And almost none of it was luck. This is the story of how a boy from Madeira, told he was too skinny, too poor, and too far from home, willed himself into a god of football. Cristiano Ronaldo dos Santos Aveiro was born on the 5th of February 1985 on Madeira, a small, beautiful volcanic island in the Atlantic Ocean, far off the coast of Portugal. His family was poor. His father was the kit man at a small local club and struggled with alcohol. His mother worked as a cook and a cleaner, taking on any job she could to feed 4 children. They lived in a cramped, tin-roofed house, and money was always short. Cristiano was the youngest of the 4, an energetic, emotional, fiercely competitive boy. And from almost the moment he could walk, there was only one thing in the world that truly held his attention: a ball. On the streets of his neighborhood, the young Cristiano played football constantly, morning, afternoon, and night. His family would later say he took a ball with him everywhere, even to bed, hugging it like a teddy bear. He cried when his team lost. He cried when he wasn't past the ball. They nicknamed him the Little Bee, because he never stopped buzzing around the pitch. He was skinny, almost frail, but the talent was undeniable, and so was something rarer, an obsessive, burning need to be the best. While other boys played for fun, Cristiano played as if his entire life depended on it. In a way, he already understood that it did. His gift could not stay hidden on a small island for long. After dazzling for local clubs, he was spotted by Sporting Lisbon, one of the biggest clubs in Portugal on the mainland. They wanted him for their famous academy. But there was a devastating catch. He was just 11 years old, and the academy was hundreds of miles away across the sea, in the capital Lisbon. To chase the dream, the boy would have to leave his family, his island, and everything he knew. It was an almost impossible choice for any child. But the talent was too great to waste. And so, at the age of 12, Cristiano Ronaldo packed a small bag, said goodbye to his mother, and flew alone to a strange city to become a footballer. What followed were some of the hardest years of his life, a chapter the cameras never saw. Alone in Lisbon, homesick and miserable, the young Cristiano struggled badly. He had a thick island accent that the city boys mocked relentlessly. He was teased for being poor, for being different, for being from Madeira. He has spoken since of crying almost every single night, of phoning home in tears, of hiding in bathrooms so his teammates wouldn't see him weep. He was desperately lonely. More than once he thought about giving up and going home. The dream that had carried him across the ocean was, for a frightened 12-year-old boy, beginning to feel unbearably heavy. And then came a threat far more serious than homesickness. As a teenager, doctors discovered that Cristiano had a problem with his heart. A racing heartbeat that, left untreated, could have ended not just his career but his life. He needed surgery. The operation used a laser to correct the part of his heart, causing the irregular rhythm. It was a frightening moment for a boy whose entire future was built on his body. But the surgery was a success. Within days, he was back in training, as if nothing had happened. The heart that doctors had to repair would go on to power one of the most relentless athletic careers the world has ever seen. Out of all that loneliness and fear, something hardened inside him. The skinny, homesick boy made a decision. If he could not yet be the strongest, he would simply outwork every single person around him. While others rested, he trained. He stayed behind after sessions, doing extra sprints, extra weights, endless repetitions. He transformed his frail teenage frame year by year into a body of pure muscle and explosive power. His talent had always been obvious. Now he welded it to a work ethic that frightened even his coaches. The boy who cried every night was building himself quite deliberately into a machine, and the football world was about to find out exactly what he had made. By 17, Cristiano was tearing through Sporting's first team, a whirlwind of stepovers, pace, and fearless trickery. Then came the night that changed everything. In a friendly match, Sporting faced the English giants Manchester United, and the young winger tormented them so completely that United's experienced players reportedly begged their manager to sign him on the spot. Days later, he did. At 18, the boy from Madeira moved to one of the biggest clubs in the world and was handed a shirt number that carried impossible weight, the number 7, once worn by United legends. Many thought it would crush him. Instead, he wore it like he had been born for it. The early years in England were not instant perfection. He was raw, sometimes selfish, often diving, a show-off still learning his craft. The crowds outside Manchester jeered him, but behind the scenes, that same relentless boy was working, always working, refining his finishing, his heading, his free kicks, his body, and slowly, then suddenly, the trickster became a destroyer. The goals poured in. He won league titles, and then, in 2008, the Champions League, and his first Ballon d'Or as the best player in the world. The skinny kid who cried in Lisbon bathrooms had become, by sheer force of will, the finest footballer on earth, and he was only just beginning. What came next was almost beyond belief. A record-shattering move to Real Madrid, where he scored at a rate no one in history had ever sustained, more than a goal a game, year after year after year. More Champions League titles, more Ballon d'Or, until he had collected 5. Then a stunning triumph at Euro 2016, dragging his country, Portugal, to its first major trophy. Wherever he went, records simply fell. He became the all-time leading scorer in the history of the sport. Behind every one of those numbers was the same thing that had been there on the streets of Madeira, an obsession to be the best that never, ever switched off. But Cristiano Ronaldo became something even bigger than a footballer. He turned himself into a global brand, a businessman, one of the most recognized faces and followed people on the entire planet. He lifted his family out of poverty, repaying the mother who had cleaned houses to feed him. The frightened boy who was mocked for his island accent now commanded stadiums of 100,000 people chanting his name. Yet through all the fame and fortune, the core never changed. The training, the discipline, the refusal to be anything less than number 1. He had become living proof of a simple, ruthless idea. That talent opens the door, but obsession is what walks you through it. The story of Cristiano Ronaldo is not really a story about football. It is a story about a poor, crying boy on a small island who decided, against every reason to quit, that he would become the greatest, and then spent his entire life making it true. There are players blessed with more natural genius. There may never be one who wanted it more. Every time a child somewhere juggles a ball alone, dreaming too big for the place they were born, they are walking, knowingly or not, in his footsteps. The boy who cried every night did not wait for the world to give him anything. He went out and took it. This has been the Football Oracle. If this story inspired you, subscribe. There are many more still to tell. Thank you for watching.